Good morning. This is the 56th, I think, maybe it's the 57th, uh, in a series called State of the School, and I'm dealing with travel. And the subject today it's huge, and in a way I almost forgot it. It has to do with travel, and it has to do with kids. And its effect on my life is just enormous, and here I almost forget it. What I'm talking about is foreign exchange period. Foreign exchange students. It started in my life with my mother and father, but when some Moroccan young men came to Concord, New Hampshire at that time, and we got to know them. But then, not long after that, there was a man from a very young man, these are almost boys at that time, from Kenya, named Joel Kamya. And he became like a brother for me the summer before I went to college. He went to Tufts, I went to Harvard. I got to know him very well. And really, it's like I had a black brother. But that's only where it started. My mom and dad were fans of this. But AFS, American Field Service, is the organization that jumps to mind. What an effect. A certain woman named Peg Walker, she was the one who was the powerhouse behind it in this area. She wasn't exactly a farm wife. She might have been. I mean, she lived in a fairly normal house in the countryside over in Morson's Cove, and her husband supported her with this. But she was so influential and changed so many lives. Through her doing, there must have been, I'm going to guess, 100 students that came from all over the world, mostly Europe, but all over the world, and lived in this area for a year. And of course, it greatly affected them. You know, one of their high school years is what it was, usually the last high school years. But it left a profound effect on this area too, especially me. I mean, there were just so many. And my youngest sister, she became an officer, local officer with AFS. And the same thing, I'd say it affected her life even more than mine, but it was just huge. I mean, there were so many. I got to know Swiss, particularly, there were two Swiss girls, now women, of course, that I got to know very well. A Swiss boy, I mean, she had them staying at her house almost steadily. For a Mexican, whose name I don't remember. I mean, there was a Spaniard. I don't know if he, I don't know if he stayed with her, or I can't remember. But I got to know him well. I mean, a German, a Swedish man, now man. They and the Swiss boy became almost like family. I mean, I can't really begin to explain what an effect that has. We had a Brazilian boy stay with us for a year, a school year. That wasn't, yes, that was AFS. You know, to imagine my life without the influence of all those foreign exchange students. And my own daughter, she also went and spent her 11th grade high school, would have been her 11th grade high school year in Brazil through that. I just can't do it justice. There are other organizations as well, but I feel frustrated because I can't explain. I mean, when you get to know somebody that well, of course they come, and well, they don't always have good English. One girl, the girl that my daughter eventually went and stayed with in Brazil, I didn't know how she got here, but word came down for me from the high school down to the middle school that there was a Brazilian girl up there at the high school, and I was curious about it. Nobody had told me anything about this. Of course, I spoke fluent Portuguese, and nobody had said anything to me about that. Well, one day after school, this girl showed up at my door. I was an 8th grade teacher, and we started to speak, and she burst out crying, and she cried. She could hardly even talk. It wasn't AFS. It was a different organization that in a way just kind of plopped her down there. And good luck. And she had almost no English. And Ana Carolina was her name. And I got to know her real well, and I taught her English. She had to do most of the work, but I guided her through that. I guess I just have to leave it at that. I do want to say that there's something sort of similar in a way, which is WWOOF, WWOOF, WOOF and woofers, which is international, and it's now much more adults, but they spend time living and working on farms. It used to be willing workers on organic farms, but the WOOF, but then it changed to worldwide workers on organic farms, I think it is. But that also, there's a woman, a former student of mine, who had a lot of those come and stay with her. I'm just not doing this justice. But the foreign exchange programs of the world are very influential, and my hat's off to that woman, Peg Walker, and the effect that she had on these high schools in this area. She was tireless. Bye for now.